Salisbury University was once a lively campus. Students would flood the library, join friends in Cool Beans, and do their homework on the benches or on the lawns. But now it's hard to think of what college life was like before COVID-19.
Health authorities are still working to identify the virus behind a pneumonia outbreak in the central city of Wuhan.
At least 59 people are believed to have been sickened by the new virus.
Tonight, U.S. airports on high alert, screening passengers for symptoms of a deadly new virus.
I have today declared that the coronavirus presents a public health emergency in the United States.
Back in March 2020, students were excited to get an extra week of spring break. Little did they know that extra week would turn into a year-long and ongoing pandemic. SU President Charles White was in fear of the months to come as the virus spread.
And recognized this as being quite serious. And so I knew that we were in for a bumpy ride. I didn't realize quite how bumpy it was until we were faced in March with sending everybody home for spring break with a high likelihood that we weren't going to invite people back again.
Shortly following the announcement of the extra week of spring break, Salisbury sent out an update informing students that the remainder of their semester would be completely online. The sudden transition required students to use Zoom, a video conference application, for distance learning and telecommuting. The decision received a mix of student opinions in response.
So starting last spring, it was all in person, and then COVID hit, so all the classes went online. And since then, to this day, I've only had one in-person class. So yeah, I'm sort of stuck in the virtual world right now. You know, people sort of respond better to being face to face, and it's been difficult. Adjusting to online school. It's much different.
Not only has students and faculty been affected, but student organizations have taken a hit as well. One of the most prominent clubs, Student Organization for Activity Planning, otherwise known as SOAP, faced problems following the sudden campus shutdown.
How did the COVID-19 pandemic first affect SOAP specifically?
Yeah, so we had to obviously change things up because you couldn't do things on campus anymore. You couldn't have large gatherings. We had a concert planned for last spring, Nest Level concert, and sadly that was not able to happen and got postponed so much that right now, maybe in the fall, we'll see something like that, but as we're getting back into the normal groove of things, but it really had to make us think of how we could do things virtually. And a lot of contracts where it was just like, we can't do this, we can't have you on campus. Comedians, small musicians, and then obviously the Nest Level concert, the big one, was probably the hardest hitting one because we had big plans to move that to the Civic Center that year.
SOAP's exec board had to change around their plans to adapt to the online atmosphere.
I'd say the shift of focus went from, here you have a board that usually operates planning 1 year in advance or a semester in advance. So what we would be doing was for major concerts, you start planning that a year in advance. For things that are small, like a comedian coming to the campus or bingo or something like that, it would be planned out a whole semester in advance and done until the date of. So right away, as COVID hit, we switched from, okay, scratch all those things that we had planned out. Now we have to plan on the fly and create virtual events that could be in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And so it was really just trying to fill that void, fill that gap of, hey, what can we do? We got to look at cost. We got to look at the virtual format. And, it took away that gap time of planning for sure.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that shift is going to hurt the exec boards to come when they have to plan a year in advance and they have to switch over?
I think it hurt us.
Salisbury University is one of many campuses to be affected by this pandemic.
There were educational opportunities that were missed in that sense, and it's a shame. Not just for Salisbury students, but for all of higher education and most of public education as well. I think this country missed a year of education for many, many students. And it's a shame. We'll never be able to completely make it up.